Ready.
Welcome everybody. It's our quarter three. This year seems to be passing very quickly. This is our quarter three update today, and I'm doing too fast. Okay, sorry. This year
No,
has
it's
gone
me.
very slowly. No. So this is the update, and I appreciate everybody on the call. I hope you can see me. I don't look too good this morning, but I hope you can see me. So we'll roll the slides. The first thing I'd like to do is if you can put the next slide on.
Yep. A little bit of lag time.
Okay, is to thank all our volunteers. Without the volunteers, we wouldn't have this organization. And this quarter's spotlight, and I'm very happy to announce the winner of our quarterly update, and it's Charlotte McAvane. So Charlotte, many thanks for all your efforts and your contribution that you've made, not just this quarter, but since you've been involved in IPEC. For those who don't know Charlotte, she's the manager of North American Pharma Quality Group at Univar Solutions. So congratulations, Charlotte.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I knew y'all were up to something.
Okay, moving on, because like always, the updates, we have a lot of slides to get through today. And the first being the Federation, and that's Priscilla's. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate Priscilla, as you'll see on the next slide, actually, that she's now formally or officially the president of the Federation. So many congratulations there. To run through the activities of the various IPECs that the Federation sort of oversees. The first being that it was an annual meeting held with the EDQM and EMA in May to discuss the current regulatory matters, including CPs, CPEs, that's co-processed excipients, and PDG expansion. We're accepted as an observer in the EMA titanium dioxide discussion, and will be permitted to comment on further EMA Q&A. So that's a good breakthrough there to actually get some input into EMA. An IPEC Europe forum was held in June, which celebrated their 30th anniversary, 1 year after us. IPEC Japan, after the element impurities is implemented by the JP in December 2022, will review specific HM, especially for excipients of natural origin. So that's the topic that's ongoing. The GMP committee was created, a template derived from the IFEAP guide to be used by excipient suppliers to provide information as a basis for virtual supplier audits in Japan. So they're the two main activities in IPEC Japan. IPEC India are considering the transition from an associate member to a full member status in the Federation. And IPEC China, the USP held a workshop on nitrosamines, which some of you know about. Federation projects, presentation developed for IPEC's nitration position paper and given at the last webinar, available for member use. We had a big input, obviously, into that documentation there, or document. The regulatory database arranging demos for Claviat and Redicia to determine the feasibility of that regulatory database. I think that's still ongoing. Nominations submitted for the observer status I mentioned in the ICH, participation in EDQM panel discussion on compendial harmonization was in September. I also established a 3-year review of all IPEC guides. This is obviously very relevant for us as well in IPEC Americas, and streamline the approval process. So with the 3-year review, then IPEC guides will not be out of date, they'll be current. So that's going to generate quite a lot of work, and there's a lot of activities you'll see around updating IPEC guides as a result of that. The initial meeting held on the compendial convergence initiative. As I mentioned, Priscilla now becomes the president formally from IPEC Americas for the Federation, and the vice president is from IPEC Europe, and IPEC Japan remains the treasurer. So moving on to the committees, first the CRC committee with Doug and Jennifer. leading this. Monthly compendial review meetings are running and still run regularly every month. Reviewed and discussed postings in the PF48, PF48 4 and 5, and the Farm Europa 34.4. The next monthly compendial review, a WebEx scheduled on for Monday, October the 10th, 22, if you can join. That will be appreciated. Plans to review the USP rewrite of 1059 excipient performance and the USP stimuli article on mutagenic impurities in drug products, and that's very active. The USP discussions, we've had an update at the IPEC leadership face-to-face meeting that was held in July of 2022. Hopefully we're planning to have another update at the end of the year. We've actually invited Catherine Shaheen as an outcome of that meeting to one of our committee meetings in December to get that face-to-face contact with the USP going again, like we've had in the past. The Compendial Joint Industry Team update from Planning Committee for the 22 Joint Industry Meeting, covering various pharmacopoeia topics as hosted by IPEC Americas. Moving on to the Compendial Policy Process and Quality Stakeholders Discussion Group, the CPPQ, on the group activities, including discussion pertaining to the British Pharmacopoeia Pilot Program, and also a kickoff meeting held in July for both Europe and Asia for the mutual recognition of pharmacopoeias. And a pending article has been prepared and submitted entitled IPEC America's Perspective, the Value of Participating in Setting Global Quality Standards to the tablets and capsule magazines for their winter edition. So a lot of activity going on at CRC. Moving on for regulatory affairs, Mira and Troy. Again, a lot of activity. I think we had something like 58 participants in our recent committee meeting, which was outstanding. So a lot of interest from the members in this particular committee, as well as the others, but in particular, regulatory affairs seems to be very relevant to our members currently. Presentation from the Association of Accessible Medicines, AAM, came in to give a talk, which personally I found very enlightening and appreciate that. It was a very good thing for them to come in. And one of the things they discussed for those who joined that particular committee meeting was whether the FDA would get funded going forward for UFAs or the PDUFAs and GDUFAs. We've just heard, obviously, that they have continued to be funding at the last hour at the end of September. So the FDA hopefully are back on track and don't have to lay off a lot of people, which was a consequence if they didn't get the funding, which is good news. In addition to the regulatory affairs, I reviewed the IPEC America's comments to the FDA docket on the abbreviated new drug application submissions, discussed the IPEC America's review of the FDA draft guidance entitled Risk Management Plans to Mitigate the Potential for Drug Shortages. And there was an update status for international regulatory issues regarding EU microplastic restrictions, the TiO2 ban in food uses, and IPEC America's efforts to establish a Latin excipient working group to discuss the regional regulatory topics related to excipients in South America. Moving to GMP with Mike and Beth. Again, a lot of activity going here. Review the status of and progress towards IPEC guides currently in progress. The revised the IPEC PQG excipient GMP guide was finalized and approved by the Federation. Available exclusively to IPEC and PQG members for a 3-month period, and then after that time it's open to everybody. The first draft of the IPEC America's GMP how-to audit guide to the NSF IPEC ANSI 360 good manufacturing practices. The pharmaceutical excipient standards to be available to members soon, and also finalizing the comment on the revision to the IPEC excipient stability guide. Moving forward, as shared, the EXIPAT board is looking for an IPEC Americas representative with experience in marketing to help grow the program. So if anybody's interested to join that board, please let Mike and Beth know your interest. And also discuss the team progress in reviewing, commenting on the USP PF48 proposed revision on to 1078, good manufacturing practices for bulk pharmaceutical excipients. Excipient Qualification Committee, Anne and Candy. Certificate of Analysis Guide revision was discussed, the guide currently with the Federation for final approval. There will be a webinar free to IPEC members, to review, highlight changes, and that's being planned for November the 4th. So good progress with that. The significant change guide revision, and shared the status activities to revise, update the 2014 IPEC significant change guide in order to standardize the terminology and align with the FDA recommendations. Also to remove redundancy, update references, and incorporate the decision trees into the guide narrative. Sustainability and responsible sourcing section of the EIP guide. This was updated, updated the global team efforts to complete the first drive in Q4 2022 and share it more broadly with IPEC members globally for review and comment. So there's a lot of work there as well. And finally, to discuss the potential topics to cover during future EQ meetings. QBD, Dave and Stacey, it started the committee with a brainstorming, which was discussion, which was very interesting for potential 2023 webinar and publication topics related to QBD and composition activities. ICH Q13 reviewed the outcome of IPEC Step 2 comments submitted to ICH Q13 EWG. Shared the ICH Q13 Step 3 draft and scheduled WebEx for October the 7th, 2022 review and draft comments. The co-processed excipients workshop that is being in the drafting stage with PQRI next year was discussed, and some ideas were drafted and volunteers identified for that. I mean, this follows a very successful PQRI workshop this year. So there will be one specifically on co-processed excipients to enhance the continuous manufacturing next year. Also an infographic, shared recent excipient composition infographic, part 2, covering process aids and additives, which has now been finalized. Discuss the efforts to develop a third infographic in the series. That infographic actually turned out really nicely with lots of input at the end, but it was for everybody that should see that. If you haven't seen it, please take a look at the infographic. That series will continue. Share the article entitled Mitigating the Risk from Supplier Excipient Composition Variability on Drug Products, Drug Product Formulations, which published in PharmTech in the fall edition. Scientific Affairs, moving on, Lisa and Charlotte. We updated, they updated the activity around IQ and IPEC's collaboration, IPEC America's collaboration on novel excipients and the working group that we have with respect to co-processed excipients with the plan or the target to hopefully decouple co-processed excipients, provided they meet certain criteria from the definition of novel. And the white backgrounder is now has been finished, but we're waiting for IQ's questionnaire or survey to their members before we actually combine the two and submit that or write to the FDA requesting a meeting, hopefully in Q1 of 2023. There's an update on the titration cross-functional team. Ron Kelly runs that. There's a webinar based on the position paper, which was given by IPEC America's member at a recent Larsen nitrosin workshop, which concerns some concerns. CO2 ban in food products in Europe was discussed at length. and all the activity we're doing, which is spearheaded by Dave. That's not going away anytime in the near future, and will probably be expanded, especially if, unfortunately, the other excipients on the French list will actually be considered for nanoparticles as well in the future. So that we see that as a topic that will increase activity from us in the future around nanoparticles and the safety of nanoparticles. Concerning actually how the drug development cycle would work if TiO2 certainly is banned in pharmaceutical products. IQ, IPEC, E1 Study Working Group, and its plans to publish papers, generate a survey, and develop a whole joint workshops was shared, as well as miscellaneous topics for future scientific affairs meetings, including the need to enhance engagement, networking with academia, which is still a need that we need to have. With the users network that Heather leads, the user network committee members reviewed and discussed a couple of topics more applicable to excipient users, which were introduced during our committee meetings, including the USP PF48 stimulus article on mutagenic impurities and potentially mutagenic impurities in the USP-NF. The FDA draft guidance on risk management plans to mitigate the potential for drug shortages, and also the announcement from the EU that the revision of the EU GMP Annex 1 manufacturer sterile medicinal products was finalized in August of 2022 by the European Commission. The committee continues to solicit other user-specific topics to discuss during future committees meetings. Monthly compendial postings review team, again, very active. They reviewed and discussed the postings in PF48 and Farm Europa 34.4. Continued to see fewer postings with impact to excipients, comments being developed for complete rewrite of 1078. There's a small sub-team that's working on that. A lot of efforts going into that. Comments. That's led by Dell, and thanks Dell for your effort there. PF48 postings will be reviewed during the CIC meeting, and complete rewrite of the 1058 excipient performance. Comments submitted to the USP stimuli article, USP and iterative approach to standards development and the emerging standards. The USP has requested approval to post our comments on the emerging standards website, which is a very good sign of hopefully willing to collaborate more in the future with us. The request for the roundtable or advisory panel being developed regarding the exception to the policy for including specific elemental impurity tests in monographs for naturally derived materials when there is significant data available supporting no risk. It's another hot topic there. Nitrosium's cross-functional team, I mentioned a little bit, Ron Kelly is leading this activity. Thank you, Ron. The objective being to address nitrosamine-related concerns with a focus on excipients, lead, learn from, and leverage expertise in support of driving nitrosamine understanding, risk, and mitigations. And I think we've done a good job of education and providing that insight to the industry. Especially with respect to excipients and the relevance to nitrosamines in excipients. The IPEC Federation presentation for nitrosamines has been completed. I think I mentioned there's a webinar on IPEC activities during the last nitrosamine workshop. Well, there was proposed feedback to the FDA regarding a SBIA generic drug forum. Whoops. All right. Thanks, Kim. Back in March the 27th, 2020, presentation on nitrosamine impurities in human drug products by Andrew Rowe. I think this concern led to a lot of concern or confusion, and we're trying to address that as best we can by making comments, feedbacking to the FDA. I don't think we've heard anything back yet, but that's what we've been doing. Share the FDA 2022 Generic Drug Science and Research Initiative Workshop on nitrosamine presentations, nitrates and excipients, analytical methods, safety and risk assessment. And there's a YouTube recording based on that. So as a cross-functional team, as an update, I mentioned the first part. You can see there's a letter that's been submitted by this presentation, as I mentioned. Participated in the APS Ask Me on Anything. Ron did that and got a lot of good questions, I think. And there's a recent publication regarding the nitrite database. Moving on to the microplastics cross-functional team, spearheaded by Mira. So the cross-functional team, including members of the Pharma Chem-led team, IPEC Americas, as well as IPEC Europe. And this issue has been originated from IPEC Europe, but may have an impact globally. Current situation is anticipated that the final microplastics regulations will be issued by the EU Commission in late 2022, early 2023. And the current team activities is focusing to collaborate with CPHI on a workshop in this topic. In discussions also with PDA to develop a technical document at some point in the future. And both activities are still in the discussion stage. Looking at our dashboard for 2022, as a snapshot of how active we've been, as you can see, there's a lot of things going on here, as always. I won't read all the details here, I think you can see them, but we've been active obviously with the FDA and the USP comments, as well as NSF, and also publications. 10 publications already this year is outstanding. We've had 7 workshops, 15 webinars, which is also incredible. And then, draft guides in progress, we've got 7. Publishing new revised guides, we've got 1. Position papers, 2. Infographics, which is, I mentioned one just in the few minutes ago, but that's a very active thing for us to market what we do. And I think these infographics are having impact, and I think they're really nice. So there's 8 of those, which is great. With respect to the IPEC Foundation, we have soon, we have our awards dinner just prior to the start of the APS meeting. And we've announced the winners of various prizes, as shown here. The Ralph Shanghar Memorial Award will go to Dr. Mansour Carr, formerly of the FDA, who's now at the Texas University A&M. The Henk de Long Industrial Research Award has been awarded to Dr. James Wesley from Eli Lilly. And the Patrick DeLuca Emerging Research Award to Dr. Na Lee from the University of Connecticut. To continue, we also have Graduate Student Award winners, as listed here. Mustafa Bukwala from Dasquin University, Sarai Fancy from UConn, Jingtao Li from University of Minnesota, Shai Shan Song from University of Minnesota, and Ru Shen Yang from Purdue University. The IPEC Foundation Annual Awards ceremony will take place at the Grill 23 restaurants in Boston on Sunday, October the 16th, 2022, that should be. So with that, I just have a breath before I move on, but the strategic alliances and partnerships for our strategy. So the first one of these is assessing our partnerships, collaboration, and alliances. We've identified potential partners and have prioritized a list of these. And the background information about each organization has been populated, so quite a lot of research that's been done there, just to give us some feel of what these organizations are about. And the team is now capturing additional details in each of the templates. As you know, we've formation of a Latin American working group that's actually been formed now, and members are being solicited both within Latin America and participation also in this group from existing IPEC members, IPEC American member companies who have bases in Latin America. So that's very good to see that that's moving forward very well. And webinars in conjunction with SAFB are in progress for Q4. Moving to the strategic planning team 2, which is expanding markets and membership. The team has identified potential emerging areas which are important for excipients and adjacent markets. IPEC should take a leadership position and reach out to both the industry and trade organizations to form alliances. Possible collaboration between PDA and IPEC Americas related to biologics and parenteral excipients. That's sort of, we've had an initial discussion with PDA, thanks to Dave. And ideas are under discussion, including the training in 2023 related to parenterals and lipids. As you know, parenterals is one of our focus topics in this area strategically. And that's why it's featured a lot here, to expand markets into that area and to collaborate, especially with PDA. A journal article relating to excipients and adjuvants also is being discussed. And consider a joint technical document with PDA on parenterals, including excipients, would also be a great fit as well. Controlled Release Society and the Excipient World Workshop, that could be also something that will bring in another dimension, another demographic of potential attendees at our meeting, Excipient World meeting next May. So we're thinking about a joint workshop with CRS. We've proposed some ideas around parenterals in biologics and small molecules. And potentially PDA might be interested also to participate. We're awaiting feedback now from CRS Board of Management or leadership to see whether this will take place, and we can make progress hopefully if we get the green light. On the membership, the third strategic pillar, the membership, also part of this is new members in 2022 include Greenfield Chemical Company. Thank you very much for joining us, as well as Indorama Ventures. Thank you for joining us in May also. SGS also joined in June. We also had an academic member who joined, I think, as a result of Excipient World, Dr. James Polly from the University of Maryland. And also just now, at our last committee meeting, we had guests from Clarion, and most of you would have seen that. I'm very pleased to announce that they've successfully decided to join us, and they've signed up to join just after our committee meetings in September. Membership will continue to digital advertising using the Feather platform, example add below. I think that's a very nice branding that we're having. Ongoing trade show presence to stimulate membership. I think we've been pretty successful there. Promoting what we do. That's a good investment of time as well as financially. And that continues. You can see that we did this Excipient World Conference, CPHA North America, thanks to Kim and Courtney for that. And the Controlled Release Society, thanks Kim for that one. And we will be there at APS in October with a booth, and of course the Foundation Awards, and that's a good flagship for us to promote what we do. The third strategic planning committee, looking at process aids and additive infographics. This is the educational committee. The purpose being to define where processing aids and other additives get added into the manufacturing process. So that was the one I mentioned before, which is now published and complete, and it turned out really nicely. So anyone who wants, the infographic is now on our website under the educational and training Dropbox. So point that to all your representatives or your people interested in your companies to have a look at those. There's a plan to have also we have a document depot video now to actually explain and how to navigate the document depot. That's just less than 1 minute video, and that's been completed, and that's located on the document depot welcome page. So if you haven't had time to check that out, I would encourage you to do it. It just walks you through how to use the document depot, which is great. There's also an Excipient World 2023 video, which will promote the Excipient World participation, and also hopefully get a lot of more interest or more interested people to attend next year. We need to start now, of course, to get to people to attend. It's quite a competitive world out there with people's time and the ability or the opportunity for scientists especially to attend conferences. So that's what we're competing against. So, this type of approach is very helpful to have. And that's been completed. Again, that's located on IPEC America's website homepage. Kim, is this where you want to show the video? Or?
Yeah, so Courtney, were you able to pull the video up, or is that not working because we're...
I'm ready to do it, so I'm happy. I was actually going to show both of the videos back to back. So this educational offering video, which summarizes IPEC America's educational offerings, is also complete. So with your permission, I'll show the Excipient World video, and
Sure.
then I'll move right into this education video so people can see both.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Courtney.
Okay, I'm going to mute
Great.
myself, and I'm going to start sharing, but let me know, shout out if you can't hear anything.
It looks like I'm still sharing. Okay.
The Excipient World is a good venue to come meet with the customers, as well as also see what's happening in the marketplace.
Oh, the conference is great. First of all, it's in person, and I've been going to this meeting for many years. It's really the best place to learn the newest information about excipients.
We have a huge responsibility as an industry to ensure that excipients are of the highest quality.
It's been very useful to me professionally, and it's been really nice to be back networking and meeting people face to face.
We love this show because we get close to our customers, we get close to our suppliers.
Excipient World is a great place to be.
When it comes to providing knowledge and training, IPEC Americas sets the standard in excipient education. Excipients play a key role in drug product development and manufacturing. Without continuing education on excipients, product quality, and most importantly, patient safety may be at risk. That's why IPEC Americas provides up-to-date information and resources to ensure that the highest quality excipients are available for use by drug product manufacturers. Other organizations may cover a wide range of topics, but IPEC is the only one exclusively focused on excipients. Whether you're an excipient maker, user, or distributor, IPEC Americas is your guide for excipient best practices. Join us and learn more to promote the safe and effective production of use of excipients. Visit education.ipecamericas.org to explore our educational resources and membership opportunities. When it comes to
So yeah, fantastic. I can see the hands going up, so that people appreciate that. So we're having a quiet virtual round of applause. Thanks, Courtney and Kim. So what we're doing next, we're actually planning to have an IPEC Foundation video, and hopefully that will be available soon. I think the target is to have it in time for the Foundation Awards. And this really expands on the infographic we have on this one, IPEC Foundation. And the purpose being to provide awareness of what the foundation does and clear information on how academia, industry might get involved. Again, in 1 minute animated video. And what's the future? Building on this theme, we hope to have also a value proposition video to summarize the benefits of membership. And that's also expected in mid-October. So just to remind everybody how to request, if you have an idea about an infographic and I guess potentially a video from that, there is a request form in the document depot. Resources will be created in order that requests are received with possible exceptions. And the turnaround time is estimated to be 8 to 10 weeks. Keywords have been now added to help with searchability of completed items. Okay. So also on the marketing or the publication side, the external publications, trade press publications, as many of you know, that we have a series with Medicine Maker. We've now completed 2 parts of that series. The second part being the interviews from Excipient World, the event. Stephanie Sutton from Medicine Maker was actually there and interviewed various people. And some of those interviews either have been published or as a video recording, and that's out now. With tablets and capsules, the excipient issue of microplastics, educational opportunities from IPEC, continuous manufacturing, buying through distribution, quite a lot of opportunity there, and pharmaceutical technology supplier variability. So we're really utilizing the main trade magazines very well, or have been doing that this year, to get messages out to the industry. So moving to the Excipient Learning Lab, there is a webinar on October the 27th, an overview of the excipient laws, regulations, and best practices in Latin America. There's also one on November the 4th with key revised IPEC guides, what you need to know about the revised guides. And on November the 8th, nanoparticles and excipients, the potential impact on patients. In addition, there's a workshop planned for November the 14th to 18th, IPEC America's Excipient GMP Compliance Workshop. And the Excipient World Academy, the webinars there, we've got 2 coming up. You can sign up for one or both, or individually one or the other, or both, if you choose to do that. The first one's actually tomorrow. So if you have a chance to sign up for that for tomorrow, I think we'd be really appreciative. Have very good speakers, as you may see on this slide. It's a little bit small, but they're good topics with the COVID vaccines and what's happening or what's planned in the future for messenger RNA vaccines with respect to lipids and excipient lipid nanoparticles. And also the topic of 3D printing, which is an emerging technology in drug development. That one actually includes an FDA speaker. And so we've got lined up some very good speakers. So if you have the opportunity to join one or both, please do. We've got plenty of openings to join. Thank you. Moving on, Excipient World. If you haven't put these dates in your diary or calendar, please do. As time just sort of rapidly disappears now, it won't be long until we're really in the heavy planning stage for the next year's conference, which will be at the Gaylord National Resort and Convention Center back in the National Harbor again in Washington. And the theme for the program is innovation in formulation science. suggested topics were novel excipient development, excipient applications in biopharma, excipients used in parenterals, advancement in processes. Again, it's we're starting to get the planning stage, so that's not, and there's still opportunities for new topics, and we're still brainstorming a little bit around how we actually have the agenda formed. The abstract deadline for potential speakers is actually October the 28th. The floor plan, I think the ones in red are the ones that we've sold. Is that right, Courtney?
Yes.
Yeah. So as you can see, we've had 19 companies that have already paid or to actually attend again next year, which is great. And a few other companies, 3 of them at the bottom, are asked to hold a booth so that they can get the payment and contract sorted. But we still have quite a few blue ones that we need to fill. So it's not too soon to actually encourage your companies to or other companies as well to actually have a booth, because this is a very important part of the planning and also a very important part of the financial side. If we can get more booths and presence there, it helps with paying this type of conference. So the dates and deadlines: the call for papers, September the 6th, abstract deadline, as I mentioned, is October the 28th. The initial program would be announced in December the 2nd, so we still have quite a lot of work to do to finalize the program. And open registration will be from January the 9th. As you can see, early bird hotel deadline is April the 10th. And of course, the website's there for more information. So that concludes a whirlwind tour of all the activities that we're currently doing. And if there's open this up to any questions, if people have any questions on the call today.
Not a question, Nigel, but a comment on the membership. We were also including a new type of member from the equipment organizations, because they provide the testing equipment that we all use, and then their important role in the manufacturing of excipients and final drugs. So that's kind of an extra category. But what a great job. Thanks so much today, Nigel. Appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for that comment, George. Yeah, the members is, we're looking at, might not be so obvious, but adjacencies, as George says, that, our industry is all connected, isn't it, or interconnected. So as well as the equipment companies, there's testing houses that do compendial testing, for example. It might be interested to join. There's, different sort of approaches, maybe to build more academic members as well. And so, yeah, it's very active. So we have a sort of a target, don't we, George, in the membership committee or group to get up to 100 new member companies by the end of next year. So I think we're 10 short of, or 10 shy of that now. And so that's what we're planning, or hopefully have as a target. That's our own target. So if we don't get to that, well, okay, but we're very active in trying to source and find new members. As I mentioned, the conferences is a good way to entertain interested parties, and APS hopefully will bring some new member opportunities as well. Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, well, I think I just thank you again for attending and all the participation that everybody has in this organization. We do appreciate that. Oh, we've got a hand up, sorry. The hand up?
No, I was trying to send a clapping note. I raised my hand. Thanks
Oh,
again,
okay,
Nigel.
George. Okay. I thought you were telling me to stop or something. Okay. Yeah, thanks very much. I'll give you 15 minutes of your day back. I'm sure that everybody's busy, and yeah. As I say, tomorrow is one of the Excipient World Academy webinars, so hopefully people can join that if it's of interest. Thanks again. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Nigel. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thanks, Nigel.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
We'll see you.